Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to be talking about prospect theory, trying to take a deep look into what we believe is a utility function of how people actually behave. So, we've already gone into details on how we violate expected utility and expected value. That's how people should behave if they were to act fully rational. But then we started to realize that we don't acts fully rational, and we're also very inconsistent. And so we're trying to now model that. And that's what prospect theory begins to look at, what we actually do. So here we go. Let's start with the first step. And of course, going to use an example to get us started. Option A is we've got an 80% chance to win $1,000 and a 20% chance of $0. There's a risky investment. On our other side over here, guaranteed 100%, $750. Take a look at these two options. You could take the guaranteed 750 or do a little gamble here. Which one do you want to do? Next, we're going to look at, this is our decision number 1 and decision number 2. We're going to do that real quick. That now says there's an 80% chance of a loss of $1,000 and a 20% chance of no gain. That's 0. So we could take that, or we could take a guaranteed loss of $750. So now we make our decision here. And so once again, I'm looking at this going, if I'm really doing this, I want guaranteed money over here. So I'm going to choose B. And that's what the majority usually picks. Then over here, I'm looking at this going, you know what? At least there's a 20% chance I won't have to pay anything. So I'd rather do that than my guaranteed loss. So I'm going to be over here. And so that's also what I'm with the majority on these decisions. But once again, in behavioral finance, we're going, oh, wait a minute. I just broke all sorts of different expected utility violations. So think about it this way. For decision number 1, the expected value, expected utility, no matter how you slice it, or expected value is 800. Expected value here is 750. So I took the lower expected value. So in this case, we just say, look, I'm risk averse. That's fine. We've already established that. Even utility can capture that. I'm risk averse in this domain. I don't want to take on the risk. But then in the second question, I totally switched on what my preferences were, where I said, I took the lower expected value. Here, once again, I took the lower expected value. So at least I was consistent with making bad decisions with expected value, because that is negative 800 and that's negative 750. But then I said, you know what? I want the risky option. So suddenly I became risk seeking in decision number 2. So what did I just do? What's the difference between these two? If you remember from the previous introduction on prospect theory, we tend to behave different when it comes to gains and losses. And that's exactly what we did here. We're going to call this the gain domain. So in gain scenarios, these are gain domains. And here, this is a loss domain. And what we have found out here is that in gain domain, we are generally risk averse. And in loss domains, we are generally risk seeking. And so that starts us in our first two phases of prospect theory. And most people, when I've seen it taught before, we stop there. I go, no, we're just going to get to the interesting part. And so we're going to continue here to get to the third and fourth quadrant of prospect theory. But before we do, let's revisit our loss aversion one more time. So not only do we have different preferences in gain and loss domains, we also have loss aversion, where we feel losses more than our gains, where we feel our losses. Now, do you remember how much more you feel your losses than your gain? If you need the refresher, just remember, what about that coin flip? If you're going to put up $100 for a 50% coin flip, what do you need to receive in order to get that? So then if it's 225, the average investor, then the average investor feels losses 2.25 times more than gains. But that's not the end of it. There's more. So when we come back to the next video, we're going to look at the third and fourth and continue to build on what we just talked about, really building out this prospect theory function. So thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.